she has been working, communicating, but there's some place where it's blocked. It's like there's some worry factor, Saturn restricting or limiting or delaying what she's thinking during this period. There's a need for structured thinking. And like when it's being blocked, if somebody's not talking to you or some difficulty around this, plans not working at the same time, it's difficult to write things when Saturn's opposing Mercury. But if you're into writing, you could do structural things. You set up the structure, organize the things, you set this up, but you're still not going to be thinking like Dad's not talking to me, or you're feeling you still have an inhibition around this. And then this is the last 3 stages of the course, last 3-4 classes of the webinar series. We're just finishing it in the next 2 months, this Saturday week. But once we've gone through the whole classes again, certainly you got to start doing something with it. The good thing is that extra time demand starts lifting off of the classes, and she starts going forward without the worry. The mind isn't worrying as much. I mean, you can, even if you know astrology, you know that she knows all these things. You still have to live through it, right? So usually with astrology, you imagine the worst, and then you have to back up and live through it. And you find, oh, I got through it this way, or it happened this way. So you don't have to solve it for someone. You just have to alert someone to the potential. So once it gets to April, May, there's going to be some disruptions of her energy, whether that's a move or what she does next. I think she's been held back for years. And I think the shock of the Uranus hitting the Sun, Mars, and the Saturn coming up to oppose the Sun, this whole period is you can't wait on other people. You're going to have to start working and doing things yourself, simply building things up. And then once you get past the 2021, you got it. It starts opening up in a much better way without the other company. You've done the work during the difficult time to add some skills, and you have to start using them. But some things are still falling away that don't belong. Uranus takes away things that don't belong. Saturn forces you to face. I've been studying this. I'm looking at this, and the Saturn she has Saturn square Mercury. So this is Saturn opposing and still bringing that worry factor to the surface. And there's an inhibition, and with the inhibition comes a need for ambition. So she's been the student. She's got Mercury up in the 10th house with the Sun conjunct Jupiter. Who's supposed to be the teacher? She's supposed to be the leader. She's got it all. But the commitments haven't come quite that way yet. She's been working on astrology for years. Even before these 3 classes, this whole series of classes, she came back in again. So then you see 2020, there's no more pressure from the Saturn. Classes are over, she doesn't have to listen to me anymore. But there's still the Uranus-Mars things that are coming up. And I put the Uranus hits and Mars hits. I don't have this twice here. Oh no, this is a Saturn. At the same time as Uranus-Mars hits at the end of 2020, Saturn squares the Mars and opposes the Sun. So there's choice, decisions, things being changes, defensive moves having to make. It's not going to be exactly what she wants. She has some, it's about moving and finding a place, but there's going to be some limitations in the place. It may last for a year, and then it may change or open up again. So the Saturn opposes Sun is the big turning point. That's the point where you want out, you want to end the thing, but you just have to bide your time. The pressure is there. But the pressure of Saturn opposes Sun is nothing compared to the pressure that she's been through for the previous 6 years. She had Neptune, Uranus, Pluto, all heading things, still has Uranus going on, but by the time she gets to Saturn opposed Moon, those things are falling away. And this is the last point. That's the end of the damage. How do I turn it around? What I got to do? Then it starts building things up from here. And then the Saturn starts going from there, 5th house, 6th house, adding the skills, using them more, building it up. Then it hits the Saturn return in the 7th house. And she starts building up her career. She's building up her career in her 60s and 70s, just when other people are thinking of retiring. But it will work. That's her timing. Okay. So, wait for time. Okay, so That's it. You got to go at your convenience. I'm just setting a standard that you want to work what you can. This is a very alive, dynamic 8-year graph. And it really puts in perspective what's happening around the Saturn phase. The advice is tied to this. The advice you give us, hold on to the Saturn phase. You got to go through that. They got to go through that. But these are the tests and other things happening around this. Okay. So here we go. This is just a transit to the natal chart. So here you see September 29th. Whenever I do these 2-year transits, this is the exact transits from Mars and out. So it includes the Mars and Jupiter aspects. They get the difficult aspects, conjunctions, squares, oppositions. In this case, I put the semi-squares in the 135 because I use the hard 8 aspects rather than just the 4. But I really highlight the main ones. So here, September 29th, Uranus opposed to Mars. It's retrograde. It really was hit once a little bit before. It's retrograding back, hits the Mars. It's in the, and Mars is in the 12th house. While this is going on, Mars just this last week or so ago, Mars went over the ascendant. So that took a bit of shadow off. But as these disruptions were coming, it was about adjustments to the house. Things need to be fixed around the house, around garden, living where she is, or possibly moving. There's certainly a great instability run up, talking to the landlords, whatever. So this was all tied into this period. Now, it's the vulnerability is shown. The first wave is that wave has come up. Now it lifts off through October, November. In November, November 30th. I don't worry about the Mars aspects. Those are things that last for a few days. It's a temperamental thing or whatever. But November 30th, there's the Mars square the Sun, but Saturn's opposing Mercury. So there's a worry, a serious thinking that has to be done. There's a reassessment of what the plan is. November 30th. That might be a warning of, oh, maybe you have to move. That might be a warning of what to do. It's not coming by choice. It's just being alert to this. But then by January 5th, Jupiter opposes the midheaven, but it conjuncts the IC. So it's possible, like, at that point, one might see maybe a new place comes in, or maybe they see that they might have to move. They may have to start looking at Jupiter on the IC, that and it'll be in the 4th house for next year. That's a good element in the middle of all the Uranus ones. That's a puzzle. That's just coming up a few months from now, January 5th, or the first couple of weeks in January. Then it goes through just minor aspects, or Mars and in. But then you have Mars opposed the Sun in April, and Uranus hits the Mars again. So she has Uranus hitting the Mars and Mars opposed the Sun. So there's, in April, there's a shock and a tiredness and a disruption. It's not a time where you win battles. There's a time when you have to walk away from somewhere, let things go. The change builds up there. Then that's the trigger. And then it comes up again. Uranus hits the Sun, changes the confidence. Changes that are happening aren't exactly the way she wants them to happen. But the one good thing is just letting go of things that don't belong. You're going away from other things. It's changing your priorities. She won't be comfortable about it. There'll be changes that are not so much her choice and out of necessity with this. And then it's a longer sheet, it's smaller. I hope you can read it. If not, I can blow it up in pieces. I just make it a bit bigger so you can see it, but won't see the whole page. Okay. So, December 20th, 2020. Just move back a bit. We had Uranus was opposing the Mars in April, squaring the Sun in May. Then it went back up and moved out of the way, and it came back. Went forward, and it went retrograde in August. Comes back and hits this again in December 1st of 2020. Uranus squares the Sun again. Okay, so that's. I think that's the end. No, that's not the end. There's still another hit of the Uranus to the Sun. So these are things that affect the confidence, not going the way I want. It's just shocks and things that are not stable. Okay, you're juggling, you're scrambling through this time. It gets followed by Jupiter square the Mars, which is a high adrenaline point. So Like this could be, I have to pack, or I have to move things. It increases the things, the demands on what you have to do. And then Jupiter opposes the sun. Now this is a 6-year phase. Jupiter does that it conjuncts and opposes the sun every 6 years, half a cycle. But at the Jupiter opposition, from the conjunction to the opposition, you're understanding, you've been pushing things out. I'll do this, see what happens. I'll do this, this could go. Maybe let's see what happens. At the Jupiter opposition, you're not going to try, you're not going to wing it anymore. You have to understand what you're doing before you do anything. You're seeing the implications before, and then as soon as that kicks in, and you can make that adjustment of that understanding to understanding the implications of things. Do we want to get caught in another situation? Do we want to get caught like this? Do we want to have some stability? You're thinking of your vulnerabilities before they happen. And that's the wisdom of after the Jupiter opposition to the sun. So once that happens, it becomes a very positive outlook. But it is a reversing of thinking of the past 6 years. So that's 2021 from 2015. Then Saturn comes in and opposes the sun, and Uranus will square. So it's not where I want it. I can't force my will. The things, that's the Saturn. Uranus is squaring the sun. Things are changing. This is February of 2021. So even if they move in May, they might have to be moving again. That change could be there. Now, I went forward a little bit, but because it's just a small sheet, it shows bigger. So is it small? I don't know how small it is. Yeah, okay. So here we go. Yeah, so we get to Mars on the midheaven, 2021. That's fairly strong, no problem. Mars conjunction sun, that's strong again. By the end of 2021 June, Uranus starts hitting the Jupiter. And that's a whole new outlook in life. It doesn't have to be bad, but the old way of looking falls away. Along with it, all the old disruptions and vulnerabilities that have happened for the last 6 years. So that's a really positive thing. Uranus is changing the understanding and letting it go. She's got all the fixed signs. She's always going to hold into the last hit. And the first hit's the first warning, second hit's, oh, it's just still there. Third hit, I really have to take care of it by now. Of most of the transits, you would expect her to be resisting the change and fighting it. At this point, it starts changing and she starts making things work differently. So I think as she gets towards this point, she's not finished. Yeah, then it's to the moon. It's not a big deal. So like this adjustment is in her understanding and her outlook of things. So the last of the big shocks are back here in February of 2021. The last of the Uranus squaring the sun and the Saturn opposing the sun. Okay, and then it starts opening, and the world starts opening up without all these crazy things that have been happening for 6 years, for the first time in a long time. But right now she's still a couple of years. That's February 2021. That's only 15, 16 months away. Like we're at the end of 2019, so it's just it's not that, this is going to be a fast year and a half for her. Things are changing, she's scrambling, and these adjustments are coming. She's just got to ride with it and let things go as they go. But it's not a time where, if you're building castles, they're going to be made of sand. You're not going to be able to build things up too much during this time period. It's more things falling apart or letting go. Jobs, old stability. You're not stable, it's changing. Well, in the country, the world's changing. The finances are changing. It's almost impossible to find places to rent. So this is bugging this moon. This is hitting a main nerve. And it will get solved, but it's going to take a couple of years of scramble, 14 more months of scrambling.